welcome back to Madness in the Method, the show we talk about Nicolas Cage and all his never-ending stream of movies that he makes. And today we're talking about another John Woo movie, right? Yes, it is. Yes. It is WINDtalkers, his second war movie in a row. My name is Tobias, and with me as always is my friend and trusted co-host, Christopher. See? I remember this time.
Hello, everyone.
Almost forgot, but I did. But yeah, we're talking about WINDtalkers. It's I hadn't seen it before. I'd seen like one scene, I realized, as I was watching it. So, it was quite an experience, I suppose.
Yeah.
But had you seen it before?
No, I had not seen it. I had not heard of it. I knew nothing about this movie. Except that I knew the poster, so I knew it was a war movie.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know it was a Second World War movie. I was suspecting like Vietnam movie, but apparently not.
Well, it's almost always
it's one or the other.
World War II, yeah. Especially around this time, since it's in the wake of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. So last week we talked about the Captain Corelli's mandolin.
Yeah.
And I talked about that I was very happy about that movie because it was not what war movies usually are.
Yeah.
And this movie is exactly what I was glad the other movie wasn't.
Yeah, it's a generic as hell war movie.
Yeah, there is.
Oh.
I would hazard to say there is nothing noteworthy at all of this movie.
Yeah, not really. They try to do it about these special code talkers, but that doesn't really have a lot to do with the movie.
Yeah.
It is horrifically like middle of the road. It's so boring.
And it's interesting that it is so boring because you just see that a lot of money has been spent making this movie. There's a lot of explosions and people dying and things happening and a lot of extras. There's just a lot of everything, but nothing is really interesting.
But that's kind of the thing also, that so much of this movie is spent on like action. We barely have a story.
Yeah.
It's all just this I don't know, this troop or squadron, or I don't know how many people they are. They have to go to Saipan to basically defeat the Japanese soldiers on that island.
Yeah, and as they
That's
say,
the story.
which is just weird that they even just say in that way, because this is a very America hoorah movie, and they say, we're invading their home, we're taking their home from them. It's like, well, that doesn't... Are you the baddies? What's going on?
Well, it's after... what's it called? Pearl Harbor.
Yeah,
so.
Sure, in context, but it's such weird...
It was a very unprovoked attack, so,
Yeah.
I can't blame America for attacking Japan.
Yeah, but it's just so weird in this movie, because we didn't see anything of Pearl Harbor or any context in this movie. It just comes up very weird.
And they do say it that way. This is their home, but we're gonna fucking take it!
Yeah, it's just the way they're saying it in the movie. It's just, wait, hey, hang on.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's a very weird movie.
Weird movie. And like I said, boring, because all the action is pretty similar. It's the same over and over again.
Yeah.
And even though it's shot like an action movie instead of like this, it's not like a dramatic, it's not like Saving Private Ryan where it's all like gritty and realistic. No, people are jumping and they're like, there's swords and knives, and you see what's his name? Oh no.
Nicolas Cage?
No. What the hell? The other guy, Christian Slater.
Oh,
you
right.
see him do a bunch of cowboy roles, just like he did in the other John Woo movie he was in. It's called Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
He likes to do with cowboy roles, and it's just like it's shot more like an action movie, which makes the violence less effective as like as violence in war movies. You usually try to depict like how horrible it is, and here it just feels like fuck yeah.
Yeah,
It's shot the wrong way.
Yeah, and it's
for the most part,
and there's a lot of small details that really sort of destroys the action. Like the music is so weird in this movie. I don't know if you even notice it.
I noticed it here and there. I didn't really think about it.
The music sort of felt like taken straight from a 50s horror movie.
Okay, oh no, I didn't.
It was
think
very
about it.
instrumental and very like, yeah, I don't know, weird. I just didn't. It didn't work. It didn't feel like the movie. How do you say it? It's you didn't get engaged at all. You didn't get the blood pumping. You didn't feel anything in the movie.
Yeah, sure.
It's just, yeah, I don't know.
It didn't work.
No, it just didn't work. And
No, I agree. I agree with that definitely.
and Nicolas Cage was just sort of sleepwalking through the movie, not really doing anything.
No, this is one of those movies where it doesn't really feel like he's giving it his all.
Yeah.
And I was actually wondering, and I guess we could have talked about this earlier, in this stage of his career, but I didn't really think about it until now. And it's like, because in his earlier movies, like 90% of them, I mean, movies before leaving Las Vegas, when he was still like up and coming, you understood why he chose that movie. It was either a specific director, or it was a specific kind of movie. It was always, like, almost always, you're like, I get it. I get why he picked this. But now in this stage of his career, like, in the beginning you understand, like, he gets to do the big Hollywood action movie. And he did that a couple of times, and then he did something a little bit different with the, like, what's it called? The Family Man. But at this point, especially right after Captain Curtis Manlin, he does another war movie? And I guess maybe it's like, oh, well, it's John Woo. Maybe he enjoyed working with John Woo, but it doesn't seem like it. Because, like you said, it feels like he's kind of sleepwalking his way through it. And I'm just wondering, why did he choose to make this movie? There's no, like, clear, like, reasoning for it that you can see in the movie.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I can think of is that he signed up for it because he had a fun time making Face Off. And then it just didn't work. That he just realized during production that, this wasn't fun.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of as well.
Yeah.
But it feels like that should have been obvious, because there's one thing to shoot action movies and there's one thing to shoot war movies. They're very different.
Yeah.
And John Woo shoots good action. But he doesn't, like, after watching this, he doesn't shoot war movies well. I've seen one other, like, big spectacle war movie that he shot many years later called The Battle at Red Cliff, I think it's called. It's
like, I haven't heard of that one.
No, it's, do you know the video game series Dynasty Warriors?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on one of the actual battles from that real world war, or whatever you want to call it. Era. And he's better at it, because it's later. He's done even more movies. He's done similar movies, but it's still like, it still feels more like an action movie than a war epic. Yeah. So I don't think that's his forte. I guess Nicolas Cage couldn't know that at that time, but
yeah.
So I guess I'm looking at it with, hindsight is 2020, but still. It feels like a weird choice for John Woo to make a dramatic war movie.
Yeah, very. Just weird choice all around. There's a lot of good actors doing pretty bad performances too in this movie.
Yeah, no one sticks out
No.
as like good.
And we have like Mark Ruffalo, Peter Stormare. We have Slater. Nicolas Cage, and what is she called? She's not barely in the movie, but
Oh yeah, Frances O'Connor.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, and even smaller like the guy who played Chick, Noah Emmerich.
Oh, right.
Jason Isaacs is in one scene of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, smaller actor, but still people you recognize.
Yeah.
And no one is particularly interesting at all, really.
And it's just, how did this happen? What went wrong in what stage? Is it just that some producer just signed up a lot of actors and just hoped it would be good, and then realized later on, oh, it wasn't? Or what happened?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do any research on this one because I watched it and I was like, ugh, I kind of like try to forget about it.
Yeah. This was also like
wrong thing to do when you're doing a podcast, but still.
This is like the first movie, also in this podcast, where I actually fell asleep during the movie. It was just the battle scene was just the movie was just so long. It felt so long, never ended. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Also, it's the. I mean, it's not his like his only second other war movie, but it's the. This is probably the closest in style to Firebirds. So.
Yeah, I mean,
just something about those action war movies. They don't work.
I was thinking of that. This is.
It's not that bad.
I would say this is probably worse than Firebird to me.
No,
I think so.
Firebirds is terrible. This is just bland.
And isn't that even worse? We talked about
I guess
this.
in a way.
We talked about
but
this a lot, but I think that's worse.
I'm thinking like in pure like technical craft, this is better than Firebirds, you know. But I guess it would be more fun to watch Firebirds because you can laugh at how bad it is.
I would rather watch Firebirds than this again.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
100%. Just. Yeah, what is there else to say? Is this?
I don't know. Yeah, this. You know, we haven't said it in a while, but this might be a short episode.
Yeah,
we're struggling. 12 minutes in.
There was nothing to say because nothing happens. There's nothing to talk about. There's this scene in the beginning where we see Nicolas Cage fight. There's an action scene which is pretty bad. And then there's the scene where they're training, as people are slightly racist.
Yeah.
And then they go to the island and they fight. And then they're slightly racist. And then they fight.
Yeah, there's these little, like, 30-second scenes where either, like, oh, we learned something cool about the Navajo, or, oh, look, this guy's racist. But then, you know, he gets better. Like, there's nothing interesting. Because that's what every movie is. Like, one guy's gonna be racist and the other ones are just gonna be a little passively racist until they're saved by. I mean, he literally says it like, oh my god, what's his name, a white horse saved my life. I wonder what Custer would say about that. I was like, come on, dude. Could it be any more obvious?
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's terrible.
That aspect, like the script is terrible.
Yeah, the script is terrible. The music is terrible. The acting is fine, I guess. The direction is passable. Passable.
The action is fine. The rest is Yeah,
but it's for some reason. Not even the action. I couldn't get into it. I don't know if it was the subject matter of all the actual racism. Fine, sure, it is historically accurate, but it doesn't make me root for them when they're just being racist all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe that, and maybe it's this extreme bloodthirst from the Americans, where they seem like super savage, and that they point out that they're attacking an island of people and it's their home. I don't know. All of that context maybe not be enjoying the action, and action didn't look cool. It just looked kind of horrible most of the time.
And the whole message gets confused when, in any other movie like this, like Flags of Our Fathers or Letters from Iwo Jima, it's the whole thing like, yeah, we hate the Japanese for what they did, but I mean, we're not fighting the Japanese, we're fighting people who are just as scared as we are, and the whole thing. And then you have that scene where they talk to the little girl, and like, these are just people, they're not evil. But it gets mixed up when the same message, this like message of tolerance, is also portrayed in the American crew, since you have the two Navajo people. So it's just like racism bad twice, so none of the stories gets enough attention to like feel fleshed out enough.
Yeah, and directly after that, an action scene starts, and they just scream, "Kill the Japs! I have to kill them all!" And it's just... when the guy, the scene where the Yahtzee, Ben Yahtzee, I don't know if you noticed that the guy's called Ben Yahtzee. Yeah.
The guy from... Yeah, okay. The YouTube guy. When he's like washing himself in the lake, and then the one racist, like real racist soldiers like, "Oh, you kind of look like a Jap without the clothes." And it's just like, yeah, but they're from different countries. It's very like, I guess, racists are dumb, so like he doesn't care, but it's still like they don't even look that much alike. But whatever. That whole scene where he says, "Oh, you look like a Jap," and then later in the movie, he literally says like, "Oh, I do look like them, so I can disguise myself as one of them." It's like, all right, I don't know, what message are you sending here? I guess we kind of do look all the same. Okay. Yeah, it gets very confused.
Yeah.
They're trying to do some like, they're trying to do something, but it just does not work.
Yeah, I think
the message gets muddled very
I think
muddled.
that's the best description of this movie. It should be the tagline. They try to do something. Yeah. And it's just...
I mean, even now, I'm looking at the poster. even the tagline is terrible. Because there's no, like, a tagline should be, like, witty or have something to say about the movie. Here, the tagline is literally a quote from the movie that just says, "The Navajo has the code. Protect the code at all costs."
Yeah.
I guess it's the whole thing, like, yeah, protect the code, not the Navajo.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like, you have to kill them if they get captured.
Yeah.
But it's still...
And also, why is the movie called WINDtalkers?
Yeah, they never mention it. They call them code talkers all the time.
What?
They never mention that wind talker is like code for code talkers.
What the fuck is a wind talker?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It's
a mess, this movie.
It's a mess, definitely.
What was it? There was something else I was thinking of. Fuck. Never mind. There was something, but I lost it. I couldn't keep this movie in my mind for more than 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote that as well. I reviewed this on Letterboxd just before this, and it's just like, yeah, I'll forget this movie even existed in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or at least I forget everything that happened in it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing memorable about it. There should have been more than just 2 Navajo characters as well.
Yeah. Right, that's what I was thinking. Nicolas Cage character. The fuck is that going on? It's just, we have this guy who he went through something where all his friends, I guess, died. And it's not off screen technically, but it's almost off screen because we don't know anything's going on in that scene.
Yeah, we don't know those characters.
Yeah. We know, oh, that's Nicolas Cage. I guess this scene is important. I don't know.
It would almost be better if they were just voices in his head.
Yeah. And so we have this guy, and then he gets this job, and he can't hear, which they just sort of drop, It's a big plot point in the beginning that he can't hear. He's not good enough to fight. He has to cheat on the hearing exam to get into the fighting. Then they sort of drop that. Except that he looks a little pained sometimes and takes some pills, and that's just it.
Yeah.
And so we have that thing, and he has his trauma and his things, and he, for some reason, doesn't want to protect Navajos. I guess he just wants to kill people and not protect people. I guess
it's to show that he's angry.
Yeah, and then he has this sort of love story that we also just drop. Is there, lingering in the background, but it has no bearing on the entire story at all.
Yeah, because they kind of rush through it in the beginning, and then she's never in the movie again, except for like a couple of voiceover scenes.
He gets the letters, then he just, I'm not gonna read your letters. Why? Why not? Because I'm
They never explored that like the shell shock, post traumatic stress disorder aspect of it. It just, he gets angry and he starts shaking sometimes, but that never has an impact on the story. It just feels like, they drop it halfway through the movie, basically.
Yeah, so they just take all these things that they spend a few minutes on like every plot point, and then they drop it and move along to the next plot point, spend 2 minutes on that, and then leave that too.
Yeah.
And these things with the Navajos where they do these rituals before battle, and so, that's weird. Never talk about that again. And then Slater and White Horse, they sort of play music together. Never do that again. It's just, why? Why is these things in the movie? What's going on?
It's like they had a script. I don't know if like it was. There is. I was thinking like how if this was like edited down and it was better. Like the script was felt more complete, but they had to like cut a bunch of stuff after shooting it. And the only thing I can find is that there is a director's cut available on DVD that is 22 minutes long.
Oh, Jesus!
I don't know if 22 minutes would help, but
can't
at least it's an indication that there was something.
Yeah. I mean, the only way
the movie got changed at some point.
The only way 22 minutes could help is if they like remove 30 minutes and then add 50 other minutes to this movie.
Well, it wasn't too. I don't think it was too long. It's just over 2 hours, which is fine for me.
I think it's too long for this. It felt too long because the scenes never ended. It just kept on going. If it would have been 1.5 hours, I wouldn't say I would enjoy it more, but I wouldn't be bored out of my fucking skull throughout the entire movie. It just tightened it up.
Sure.
And
but I'm thinking like they had like a checklist of things from the script and then the longer cut. Like, we need these things to be in the movie. Just try to trim the fat. So then they
trimmed the resolution of every plot point
movie.
in the movie.
I don't know. I recently. Well, I didn't recently watch it, but I recently talked with another friend, like just briefly about Shadow of the Vampire. You know, the behind-the-scenes movie about Nosferatu. Yeah. Coincidentally, that was produced by Nicolas Cage. So, and that's another movie that feels like it was like you can almost feel that there are scenes missing from that movie, especially towards the end. I'm not saying there's a connection here. I just thought of it because it was a thing I thought of like this week. And I'm wondering if this is a similar situation, like for like producers wanted it to be shorter, or they had to cut stuff for the censors or something, and things were just cut out that made this movie make less sense. I get that feeling.
So what I have read about the movie, and I am not ready to check out the director's cut, but what I've seen is that what I've heard is I'm reading now. The film was intended to be John Woo's dramatic breakout film for a major studio, and a lot of effort was put into hiring the right people to invoke his vision. However, the studio saw this more as a wartime action film and forced Woo to re-edit it as such, which was the version released to theaters.
That makes sense. Then they wanted a John Woo movie, and John Woo wanted to make a dramatic movie.
So sure, it may be, but I am not willing to make, because I can't see how this could work. So I'm not willing to give it like 3 hours more on this movie.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it would. I don't think it would help a lot. It maybe would have been better, but I don't think it would drastically improve the quality of the film. No, I don't think so. Which is that's sad, because John Woo is a good director. This just wasn't the right project for him, I think.
Yeah. John Woo is I would say he's great. He's one of the greats, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Face Off. We both love that movie. It's one of the best action movies of the 90s. And I recently, because of that discussion, decided to watch Broken Arrow, which I told you like off air. Yeah. It's like it's lower budget and it's a little silly, but it's a great action movie.
Yeah,
Christian Slater is a great action hero in that movie. I wish we had more of that.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Slater, he sort of had his renaissance now the last few years.
Yeah, start with Mr. Robot, right?
Yeah, but he did a few indie movies before that was really great. He did A Quiet Man, A Serious Man, Something a Man he made.
Okay.
Where he's like a middle-aged, hair-thinned office worker who fantasizes about killing everyone at his company. And it's a fucking great movie. But yeah, so he made a lot of small indie movies where it's like, he's not just an action hero. He's actually a great character actor too. And then Mr. Robot came along.
Yeah.
But the problem is he never really had his superstardom.
No, yeah, exactly.
He's sort of considered one of the old action stars, but he never was an action star. He did a few action movies, but he should have been an action star because he's fun as
he should. Yeah, he should have been. Like I said, in Broken Arrow, he's great. His fucking cowboy roles in this movie is great. He should have been a big 90s action star. Yeah. I don't know why he wasn't.
Yeah.
But because I only recognize him from smaller parts in early 2000s movies.
Yeah.
And then what's it called? Heathers. That's about it.
True Romance.
I don't know what he did. True Romance, right? But I'm not a fan of True Romance. That's the thing. I don't like True Romance.
He Was a Quiet Man is the movie I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Check it out. It's a really great movie.
Yeah. Oh, He Was a Quiet Man. Yeah, there it is.
Oh
yeah. Okay, I've seen the poster, but I've never watched the movie. Yeah. Okay. That's the biggest detriment to this movie. It shows Christian Slater's pretty good. He should have been in more stuff.
Christian Slater,
more big stuff.
I think Christian Slater. I think he is actually pretty good in this movie.
Yeah,
he's the only good part of the movie.
His character is
he should have
more
been
interesting
the
in a
main
way.
Character.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's more he's kind of almost feels like he's a little bit happy-go-lucky in the beginning, and he's more accepting of the Navajo guys. So it would be more fun to see how war affected him during the movie instead of having Nicolas Cage's character who's already affected by the war.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage.
His character's kind of it's already set in stone when the movie starts, and he doesn't change that much.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage's character. There's nowhere for his character to go, really.
Yeah, not really. Yeah.
And it would have been more interesting to, as you said, follow Christian Slater going from happy-go-lucky to sort of Nicolas Cage's character.
Have that.
And have Nicolas Cage's character on the sideline, sort of. It would have been more interesting. I don't know if it would have been good, but
no, but it would have been better at least. Yeah, sort of like Ben Yazzie. What's the guy's name who played Ben Yazzie? Adam Beach. Sort of like his character. He's kind of innocent in the beginning, but then he becomes this bitter, embattled guy who just starts fucking killing all the Japs in the end.
Yeah.
That comes too late in the movie, though. His change.
Yeah, and it's pretty weird. I think his change is because it's one of those moments where the acting should speak for itself. That you can see in his eyes that he has changed, but you don't really get that.
No, there's a bunch of him like just being mean to Nicolas Cage instead.
Yeah, and just screaming, and it's this. You can feel you can see what the movie wants you to feel all the time.
Yeah, but you don't really
feel any of it. You don't connect it at any point with anyone. And you can read the scene and say, oh, okay, now we should feel that he is angry and he has given up and he's taking his revenge just like Nicolas Cage did and has done throughout the movie. But I don't feel it at all. It's just, okay, cool.
No. That's the classic, like most war movies, unless they're about like some like victorious battle or something, but other than that, most war movies have more or less have the same message. It's war is hell, which they literally say in the Platoon, but that's every war movie. War is hell, and it ruins people. And it's a pretty easy one to like understand, and that's why I think war movies can be very effective, like Saving Private Ryan or Platoon or like well, I don't know anyone else right now, but you know,
yeah.
And you usually it's pretty easy to like get immersed and like emotionally connect to the characters. I never really did that in this movie. It was like we said, like you said, like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to feel sad. This is where I'm supposed to understand why he's angry. But I never really did it.
Yeah.
I just recognized, this is that scene, but it was like, okay, next instead.
Just a trivia. Nicolas Cage actually learned to speak Navajo fluently for this part, despite the fact that his character in the film does not.
Yeah.
Cage later said that he did it to better understand the script. But John Woo maintained that Cage has misunderstood the character which was cast.
Yeah, why would he need to better understand the script when his character has nothing to do with the language of Navajo? It'd be better if you learned about the culture, maybe, but don't have to learn the. No, that's cool though. Of course he did. Of course he did.
Yeah. But it does sort of feel on point that in this movie that Nicolas Cage just misunderstood his entire character, and that's why we have this sort of weird performance from him, because he doesn't bring the Cage energy at all.
No, not at all.
Even when like screaming and shooting and being this super energetic guy, it's not the Cage energy. It's just fake energy in a way.
Yeah, no, yeah, this one, it really feels like he's phoning it in.
Yeah. It's like this, oh, now I'm going to scream.
Yeah, a little bit. There's like one scene where you get that you know, that Nicolas Cage thing that he does, that when he's drunk and walking around the graves. But yeah, it doesn't connect. It feels forced.
Yeah,
which it shouldn't do. It should feel natural coming from him, and it doesn't at all.
That's as we talked about a lot about that. That's sort of his biggest strength. That no matter how weird the character is, it always feels natural from him. Mm-hmm. Feels like, yeah.
Here it didn't.
Yeah, and again, Firebirds is the other movie that happened. Which just it doesn't feel like he cares, and it's you don't feel it. I'm just looking at the scores of the movies we made, and so it is only Firebirds, because Deadfall also has a bad score, but you buy his energy in that movie. It's just that
he's great.
Yeah, it's just the rest of the movie that's the problem.
Yeah, we gave that like what, 4 or something?
Oh no, 2 and 3.
Oh, 2 and 3. Okay, sure. But I mean, without Nicolas Cage, that would have been like a 0. Yeah. That movie's so boring.
Yeah, and so I think Firebird is the only other movie where you don't buy you don't get that energy. I don't know if you can remember any other.
I can, but I don't know if I should mention it because it's the last episode.
Oh.
Gone in 60 Seconds kind of feel like he was sleepwalking as well.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
If for anyone wondering what I mean is, my computer crashed during the editing of that episode, so the audio does not exist anymore, at least not my audio. But at some point in the future, we may record that episode again. Just
maybe.
I had to let that one go. Well, it's a lost episode.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. That's the other time when he's sort of you don't get the energy.
No, not really.
And I'm not saying the energy is always something you want or need. Looking
sure.
at you, Moonstruck. But
I love him in Moonstruck, but sure, I get what you're saying.
But yeah, in this movie, you really need that energy. Yeah,
definitely.
Have you looked up any reviews for the movie?
I looked up the score. It got a bunch. It got some really or pretty damn good reviews.
Oh, really?
But it also got some, but it got some pretty bad reviews. The best it got was, well, first of all, the meta score, the average is 51, so straight down the middle.
Yeah, it did bomb at the box office.
It did, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it did bomb quite spectacular. It cost around 70-something millions to make. In America, it got 41 million. Ooh. And worldwide, I think it was like 114 or something. So that's a loss. Yeah, that's not good because they usually don't put in the marketing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can easily double 70.
Yeah, so
it's probably closer to 150.
Yeah, so they probably didn't even make their money back on this movie.
No, this was a loss probably. But the best it got was 9 out of 10 from Reader, some magazine Reader. Jonathan Rosenbaum said, despite some of the sentimentality that is also Woo's stock in trade, I was moved and absorbed throughout. And I'm like, what movie did you watch? Here's it got an 88 or 8.8 out of 10 from Chicago Tribune. It's the best new battle film since Black Hawk Down. A movie it surpasses in sheer feeling and bravura style.
I'm sorry,
if not in nightmarish panic and suspense. Yeah. What are you smoking? Black Hawk Down is amazing. This is trash compared to Black Hawk Down.
That's actually a good war movie.
Yeah, that's a great war movie.
And I don't really like war movies.
Yeah. And then some, middle of the road stuff, a bunch of 6s and 5s, and then the really bad ones here is from the Christian Science Monitor. Gave it a 2.5 out of 10. Says, this is a great subject for a movie. Yeah, sure. But Hollywood has squandered the opportunity, using it as a prop for warmed-over melodrama and the kind of choreographed mayhem that director John Woo has built his career on. Yeah, exactly. He's not right for the role, or the directing role. It's become all about the action instead of the tragedy. And then the worst one is a 2 out of 10 from the Wall Street Journal. Joe Morgenstern says, the Navajo must have sent much more crucial messages at much higher levels during the war, but you never know it from this movie. WINDtalkers is practically all action and no talk. Yeah. Exactly.
So the user reviews is very scattered. There are 1s, there are 6s, there are 8s. It's all over the place. So there's doesn't seem like a consensus at all. Very up and down. Overall, it's like 6.1 God, I think. But I did find 2 interesting reviews. One review is a review of the director's cut, or well, a person who's seen both cuts.
Okay.
And he says, or she says, main advantages of the director's cut are more fleshed out characters. You get more background on all main characters, including the 2 Navajo code talkers. I felt more involved as a result. The code talker part of the story is served better, but still not enough. And it also says it has more uncut battle scenes. Wu really shows his talent there, with the raw yet beautiful shot war action. You get the sense that you're in the middle of the action. I was particularly interested in if I was particularly interested if a scene was put back in where a US soldier takes a golden tooth from a Japanese corpse. This scene is described in several documentaries about censorship by the US Army. Not completely surprisingly, this scene is also absent in the director's cut. So that was pretty interesting. And then I found that was an 8 out of 10. I think that's for the director's cut. I think. And then there's a 6 out of 10. With the review doesn't sound like a 6 out of 10, but I just like this review.
Okay.
I thought this was a film about Navajo code talkers. Well, it's not. While there are a couple of Navajos in the film, the story revolves around Nicolas Cage winning World War II all by himself. This guy is incredible and makes John Wayne look like a wimp. Every time the Marines are in trouble, up jumps good old Nicolas Cage with his Thompson, and poof, the battle is won. I wonder how he won World War II without Nicolas Cage. The film has a lot of combat footage, and most of it is very well done. That alone is worth a watch, but I don't expect to learn much of anything about the Navajo code talkers. You should read about them, because they were an important part of the history, but they're a minor part in this film. I gave it a 6 only because of the good combat footage. But yeah, so it seems like, again, people who like action, the ones who didn't like the last movie, like this movie.
yeah.
Because I mean, if you're into like just gory war action scenes, I guess this would work.
Yeah, because definitely, because there's more action than drama.
Yeah,
and the like all the action scenes are long, and there's a bunch of explosions and
people losing body parts all over the place.
Yeah, and they're well shot and well choreographed and directed. It's just that it loses the soul that should be in between the action, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
another reason maybe why this movie did so bad in the box office, it was released on the same day as Scooby-Doo and The Bourne Identity.
Yeah, both better movies than this.
Yeah, and both were box office hits. So I think people went to either of those instead.
Which is, it's good, I guess, that they went and saw Bourne Identity, because that's actually a good movie. And while I do enjoy the live-action Scooby-Doo, especially the first one, it's the kind of movie that they should have skipped making. But you know what? At least it's more fun than this one.
So just one last trivia for the Swedish audience.
Oh yeah.
Mikael Persbrandt auditioned for Peter Stormare's part in this movie.
Yeah, which is weird, because he was like, Peter Stormare at this point was like a recognizable name in Hollywood. Yeah. Mikael Persbrandt
is still not really
all
a recognized name in Hollywood.
Exactly. He tried a few years ago, and it didn't really go anywhere, unfortunately, because he's a good actor.
Yeah.
He plays the big shapeshifter guy in the Hobbit movies, the second Hobbit movie, whatever that character's called. Yeah, and but his scene was like severely cut down. He's in the director's cut a lot more. And the same thing a few years after that, he was in the Charlie Hunnam King Arthur movie, where he plays like a Viking guy that they talk to. And he's literally in one scene and is basically like ridiculed. And that's the extent of like accomplished and like celebrated Swedish actor Mikael Persbrandt's Hollywood career.
Yeah.
Which is it's really sad. He should be in more movies.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's everything I have to say about this movie, really. If you really can't get enough of Second World War II action, sure, give it a watch. But if that is not something that you really have a need for in your life, you should skip this and never look back.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah. So
I think that's it.
Yeah. What are you gonna give it?
This is Oh, you're right.
Does it deserve a score?
No, it deserves a score. Like I said in the beginning, it's painfully average, but after discussing it, I think I'm gonna have to go down to a 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah, a 4. I was gonna say a 5, but no, this is a 4.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 2. It's the lowest scores I've given, except Deadfall. Deadfall also got a 2. So this is the same for me.
Right.
This is the same level as Deadfall. Yeah, I mean it's. But that's also because I get no enjoyment of wartime action
You're not
at all. There is
yeah.
nothing for me to get there. So, and if you edit that out, you get nothing in this movie. So yeah, but I guess it's filmed okay, decently. I'd say. I guess.
Yeah,
could have gone up to like a 3, maybe even a 4 if the music would have been good. But the music is terrible also.
Yeah, I read something about that actually. That the score that James Horner wrote for this movie is not the one you actually hear in the movie. Because the movie was postponed. It was supposed to release right around like September 2001, but you know, 9/11 happened and everything. Yeah. So it said I read something just quickly that the score that he recorded for the movie wasn't used for some reason. I can't find it now, but it was something like that.
Well, maybe it is actually 50s horror music that he just stole, because it's what is it called? It's free? No, it's
stock music.
Yeah, copyright free or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Here it is. This is the only time that the Oscar winner James Horner worked with director John Woo. Horner was hired because his music gave the film a much bigger scope in its original version before it was re-edited for its June 2002 release. Yeah, so I guess when they edited it, they cut out some of his music as well. Feels dumb since he's a very, very accomplished composer.
I'm very interested in director's cut, but not interested enough to actually watch it.
You're interested enough to watch a comparison video on YouTube.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah. I'll do that too.
Well, yeah.
But anyway,
so I guess that's it. That was the
WINDtalkers
2002 WINDtalker. WINDtalkers.
WINDtalkers.
And next week is this other movie he made in 2002, Adaptation.
Yes. Which I think I said this last week also, like, I am very excited to watch this one.
Yeah, it's a Charlie Kaufman movie, and as we all know, he's interesting.
Yes.
I wouldn't say he's everyone's cup of tea, but he's interesting.
No, but it's always interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what you think about it.
Yeah. And if you want to follow along in that conversation, be sure to check out Adaptation until next week. And also, if you want to support the show, you can check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene for early access to all these episodes and exclusive episodes of my other podcast, Spoilercast, and a bunch of stuff, commentary tracks and stuff. All for just $3 a month. Support independent podcasting. But other than that, just follow us on, the platform where you're listening to this. We're available on all major ones: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. And, hope to see you in the next one. So, thank you for listening. And until the next one, have a good one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Madness in the Method is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It is hosted by Tobias Wedén and Christopher Billén. It is produced and directed by Tobias Wedén, after a concept by Christopher Billén. Executive producer is Annika Wedén. A huge thank you to all our supporters over on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. Laura Kinney,